Urbanization comes from the Latin noun for city. Our word urban describes cities and the people who live in them. With its sub-prefix, CSUB, a suburb is a town near or under a larger city, and suburban houses are home to suburbanites. Urbane, sophisticated and with polished manners. He was remembered as a gentlemanly and urbane host of elegant dinner parties. Urbane synonyms include suave, debonair, and especially cosmopolitan. Urbanity was a trait of such classic movie stars as Fred Astaire, Cary Grant, William Powell, Leslie Howard, Charles Boyer, and George Sanders. Notice that, for some reason, urbane is almost always used to describe men rather than women. Teenagers in the 1960s read James Bond novels and watched his character on screen to get tips about acquiring an urbane identity. But it's hard to acquire urbanity without actually having had wide social experience in sophisticated cities. And, since times have changed, the whole notion doesn't seem to attract young people quite the way it used to. Exurban, relating to a region or settlement that lies outside a city and usually beyond its suburbs, and often is inhabited chiefly by well-to-do families. Exurban areas typically show much higher education and income levels than closer-in suburbs or nearby rural counties. With its prefix x, outside of, the noun exurb was coined around 1955 to describe the ring of well-off communities beyond the suburbs that were becoming commuter towns for an urban area. Most exurbs were probably quiet little towns before being discovered by young city dwellers with good incomes looking for a pleasant place to raise their children. Planners, advertisers, and political strategists today often talk about such topics as exurban development, exurban trends, exurban migration, and exurban voters. Interurban, going between or connecting cities or towns. Businesspeople in the two cities have been waiting for decades for a true high-speed interurban railway on the Japanese model. Interurban is generally used to describe transportation. As a noun, as in those days you could take the interurban from Seattle to Tacoma, interurban has meant a fairly heavy but fast electric train, something between an urban trolley and a full-fledged long-distance train, that offers more frequent service than an ordinary railway. Interurban transit today may include bus, ferry, and limousine, and, in a few lucky areas, a regional railway. With oil supplies dwindling, there's hope that interurban railways will be coming back into wider use. Urbanization, the process by which towns and cities are formed and become larger as more and more people begin living and working in central areas. The area has been undergoing rapid urbanization, and 6 or 7 of the old small towns are now genuine suburbs. The word urbanization started appearing in print way back in the 1880s, which says something about the growth of American cities. The expansion of Los Angeles was an early example of uncontrolled urbanization. Urbanization is often seen as a negative trend, with bad effects on quality of life and the environment. But apartments require much less heat than houses, and commuting by mass transit rather than cars can reduce pollution and energy use, and cities offer improved opportunities for jobs, and often for education and housing as well, so city growth doesn't make everyone unhappy. Cult comes from the Latin cultus, meaning care. So cultivation is care of something, such as a garden, in a way that encourages its growth. And culture is what is produced by cultivating human knowledge, skills, beliefs, manners, science, and art over many years. Acculturation, 1. Modification of the culture of an individual, group, or people by adapting to or borrowing traits from another culture. 2. The process by which a human being acquires the culture of a particular society from infancy. The old Eastern European bagel has gone through an acculturation in America, where it has acquired a soft texture, a white interior, and fillers like eggs and peanut butter. Whenever people come in close contact with a population that's more powerful, they're generally forced to acculturate in order to survive. Learning a new language is usually part of the acculturation process, which may also include adopting new clothing, a new diet, new occupations, and even a new religion. An older generation often fails to acculturate thoroughly, but their children often pick up the new ways quickly. Cross-cultural, dealing with or offering comparison between two or more different cultures or cultural areas. A cross-cultural study of 49 tribes revealed a tight relationship between the closeness of mother-infant bonding in a given tribe and that tribe's peacefulness toward its neighbors. If you've ever traveled in a foreign country, you've found yourself making some cross-cultural comparisons. Why are huge family dinners so much more common in Italy than back home? Why do Mexican teenagers seem to play with their little relatives so much more than teenagers in the US? Cross-cultural analysis has produced extremely interesting data about such things as the effects of various nations' diets on their population's health. Though cross-cultural was originally used by anthropologists to refer to research comparing aspects of different cultures, it's also often used to describe the reality that lots of us face daily while simply walking the streets of a big American city. Horticulture, the science and art of growing fruits, vegetables, flowers, or ornamental plants. He considered majoring in botany, but has decided instead on horticulture, hoping he can spend more time in a greenhouse than in the library or the lab. Hortus is Latin for garden, and the first gardens were planted about 10,000 years ago in what is often called the Fertile Crescent, the crescent-shaped area stretching from Israel north through Syria and down Iraq's two great rivers to the Persian Gulf. Probably more fertile in previous centuries than it is today, it was the original home of such food plants as wheat, barley, peas, and lentils or their ancient ancestors, not to mention the ancestors of cows, pigs, sheep, and goats as well. Many horticulturists today work as researchers or plant breeders or tend orchards and greenhouses, but most American households contain at least one amateur horticulturist.